Power to the truth. This is Margo. This is Tuesday, March the 5th, 2019, 4:31 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. I'm feeling much better today. I'm still not 100%, but I'm recuperating. So thank you for all your kind comments and well wishes and prayers and all of that. So today what I found was something pretty extraordinary. Was this big red cloud of sulfur dioxide coming up in Alaska. Normally it's not red like this, and normally it's not spread out like this. So I did a little investigating. So we're going to go a little deeper into sulfur dioxide and volcanoes and what's going on up there, because this can be indicative of either earthquake activity, large earthquake activity, or volcanic activity, and it might not have happened yet. It can be a precursor to some kind of geologic activity, so we want to keep an eye on this. And so what I have here on CAMS, and by the way, CAMS does not really have new methane data up. When you go to methane, it shows they have methane for Tuesday, but then when you try to run the movie, it won't run. All the data's not in there, so they're working on it, I guess. So what I have here is sulfur dioxide. This is the North Pole view and total column. And so this is Alaska down here. Here's China. Here's this Popocatépetl, however you say it, going off in Mexico. And there's a couple of volcanoes going off down there. But we also see these cream-colored areas where we do have hot spots for earthquake activity in the United States. So, you know, sulfur dioxide comes from a lot of different places, but it gathers in the atmosphere and acts as a coolant. It does block the sun, but you know, once it breaks down into all the different pieces, it ends up heating up the atmosphere. So anyway, so this is from today, and I went back a few days. Well, let's see, what have I got up here? This is, okay, so this is the Pacific area, and this is, so we can see this ring of fire, because that's the area that we're really so concerned about, and they're predicting that they could have a 9.0 anywhere in this ring of fire anytime. And remember, the ring of fire is this area in these red lines. This is considered the ring of fire. And see, we just had a big one over here just now in the Philippines of 5.7. So, you know, this is the area that we're really looking at, and this includes all this area up in Alaska that has averages 50 to 100 earthquakes a day, and they've got over 100 volcanoes in the state coming down this line through the Aleutian Islands. So I've done some research, and we're going to look at some of this stuff. So here is our Pacific view. This is Hawaii, and I went back to Friday. That's the first day in the forecast period that they have here. So we see Hawaii going off a little bit. We see a little bit of red, orange, and mainly cream colored up here in southern Alaska. Now specifically, that is, I've got Google Earth pulled up. Where it's coming up is specifically down along this line, and we see that I've got the volcanoes listed from, I didn't mean to do that, for Google Earth, and we can see these red markers are all volcanoes, and the first one that's listed here is Mount Redoubt. And we have seen volcanic activity recently near Mount Redoubt. In fact, there's one on the map today, 73 kilometers away from Mount Redoubt. Another one is Iliamna. We've seen activity near there. The next one is Mount St. Augustine, right down here. Then we've got Novarunta and Mount Katma down here, and then we've got Mount Veniaminov, and this one is active, and it's in the yellow zone for activity right now. They're calling it restless, and I'm going to show you the that information in a minute. Here's Pavlov. Here's Mount Shishaldin, Mount Okmok, and then the Cleveland volcano, and it's restless as well. It's in the yellow zone. And there are more. I didn't mean to do that. There are more, but those are the main ones that are listed on Google Earth. And so this is just for us to have a reference point as to what we're looking at as far as earthquakes, where the earthquakes are coming in, and say, oh, well, that's near this certain volcano. And remember, just because it's been dormant for 1,000 years doesn't mean it can't come back to life, especially with lots of movement around the plate. And so, and also when we look at sulfur dioxide being released, that's one of the main gases that's released in volcanoes, and it is one of the precursors, is what I've found, to large earthquake activity. It can be volcanic activity. So, but I didn't find any volcanoes up here that are active right now. The ones that are active are the Cleveland and this Veniaminov, that one. And so we're seeing the release more up here near this Mount Redoubt area. So now this is total column, but I'll just switch back real briefly to surface level. And so this is the actual place where it's releasing from the surface, and so we see it is from that area, not right at Anchorage, but a little bit southwest of Anchorage. And if we print this, it's hard to get a real good view of Alaska by itself on cams, but we can at least print this and blow it up. Well, I didn't mean to do that. And so this is where it's being released from the surface. So it's in this area where those three, Redoubt, Iliamna, and then that other one, where it's coming up from the surface. And it can be earthquakes too, but I'm thinking it can be a combo plate. That's just my thought. So, and you can go to CAMS and look at this yourself, and I encourage people to do this, and you know, look for yourself and figure it out. And we even have released down here at New Zealand, and remember we saw some earthquakes down here, and here it is from Papua New Guinea, and of course here's Hawaii, here's Mexico, here's South America, and they've got all kinds of volcanoes down there, and then over here in the Philippines, and then China. This is mainly industrial. This large sulfur dioxide release, I think, is mainly industrial. We don't get a lot of reporting from earthquakes from China, so I don't know how much is geologic, and but it's, I think, mainly from China. It's industrial. So there's from Friday. So I'm just going to move forward, and their forecasts are not real good in sulfur dioxide. So what I found is it's easier just to go day by day. So here's what it was on Saturday, where it was releasing red, and then it was in the cream colored here up in Alaska. Here it is from Sunday. Now see, it's changing. We can see that the cloud has changed, and it's bigger, and now it's moving. And here it is Monday. So here it is yesterday. So it got bigger there. But now look at today. Look, there's a huge, it's huge compared to where it was. It went from little tiny to a great big plume. So, and I blew it up over here, this view, and it looks like, okay, it might have started down here near this Redoubt area, but then it spread out over to the northwest. But it looks like maybe some more release, because it's the darkest over here, over this part of Alaska, and then over here in the ocean. And so where that is on the earthquake map, so we saw the initial releases coming up along here, right along here near this, right off this Cook Inlet, and then when it got bigger, see, here it is. The reddest part is right up here, and then right down here. That's where the reddest parts are. So I'm just saying, you know, we're going to have to watch this. And you know, Alaska's had some big earthquakes, and it had that 7.1 in Anchorage, or in the Anchorage area, whenever that was, first part of January, I think it was. So and things are happening all the time. See, we just got this one in 3.2. And the little ones count, and there's so many, you know, maybe it's a combination of these little ones that are releasing, that all the sulfur dioxide is coming out all together. I don't know, but I'm not used to seeing this much red up in Alaska like this. So So we're going to have to keep an eye on this, and I will keep watching it, and we'll keep everyone updated on it. And that did not come from, well, at the end of Friday, like if we go, I mean at the end of Monday, it didn't look like that. Here's the beginning of Monday. No, I'm sorry. Let's go here. Here's the beginning of Monday, and so if we run the movie, we can see where it was at the end of Monday. See, it was still kind of building. I didn't see. Okay, so even at the end of Monday, when it went into the forecast period, it was not this big red. And so it happened somewhere from the last of Monday to the first of Tuesday. See? So that's what I'm reporting. So we need to be aware of this. So we'll leave that as a backdrop. And also I found a really good website. This is the Alaska Volcano Observatory. These are, when you go to their homepage, they show the 2 active volcanoes, and here's the Cleveland and Veniaminoff, and they've got them listed here, and the color code is yellow, and it's not the highest. It's yellow and then orange and then red, and then so when it's, and then they give the report down here. Here's from Tuesday, March the 5th at 12:15 p.m. Alaska time. The Cleveland volcano. Current volcano alert level is advisory. Current aviation color code is yellow. The Cleveland remains restless. No eruptive activity was observed over the past day in cloudy and partly cloudy satellite images or detected in regional geophysical data. Additional episodes of lava effusion and explosions are likely and will occur without advance warning. Explosions from Cleveland are normally short duration and only present a hazard to aviation in the immediate vicinity of the volcano. Larger explosions that present a more widespread hazard to aviation are possible, but are less likely and occur less frequently. Local seismic and infrasound data at Cleveland have been unavailable since January 26, 2019. This restricts AVO's ability to rapidly detect an explosive eruption. AVO is able to monitor the volcano for signs of eruptive activity with satellite, lightning, and regional seismic and infrasound data. So I wonder why the infrasound data says local seismic and infrasound data have been unavailable since January 26th. That's over a month. So I wonder why that is. And then the Veniaminoff volcano, same thing. Alert level advisory, color code yellow. Remains restless, no eruptive activity. It says the same thing. Weak low level seismicity continues. So they are showing earthquake activity there, weak, low level. Now it didn't say that on the Cleveland. So it says they could have eruptions and emissions or both. Anyway, and then they have you can go look at other information, and here's all their contact information and all that. Then this is a really cool website. You can go, you can see the volcano list, and it lists, and then you can go to just whatever volcano you want to look at. Here are hazards. Here's map in alphabetical order. Here's interactive map, eruption search, volcano search. They've got a library. They've got images. They've got current volcano activity. They've got webcams. Let's see. Here's the Cleveland webcam if you want to see that. No camera images have been received today. Alright, well. So the webcams are down. Uh-oh. I didn't mean to do that. Where were webcams? So we were looking at Cleveland. Let's look at what was that other one? Let's look at Redoubt. Redoubt CI. There's Redoubt. Last camera image March 5th at 3:40 p.m. Clear day image. So it's anyway. So I will leave the link below, and you can play around with this website. They also have links to other volcano observatories, including California, Cascades, Hawaii, and Yellowstone. So I think this is a good resource, and it's connected to the USGS. So, you know, for whatever reason, if people don't like USGS and they don't want to go there, that's fine. But this is what we've got, and this is what we have to work with. So now I'm going to get right into the earthquake report. We've got a lot to look at today, and I've decided that I've got to keep my reports shorter because of I just don't have the energy to keep doing, you know, hour-and-a-half shows. And my intention is to do earthquake reporting on a daily basis, and whatever other research that I come up with that is pertinent to the earthquakes, I will present it, including methane. I intend to continue reporting on methane and Arctic sea ice conditions, and things from Climate Reanalyzer and things like that. I will present news articles as I feel they're pertinent or I have the time, and I'm not going to spend the whole show doing news articles. I mean, those news articles are out there. People can certainly find them. I'll post them on my Facebook page, and so if people want to go look at them, they can go to my Facebook page. But I tried it. You know, I tried presenting all those news articles before I do the other stuff, and it just ends up being too much for me. And Also, I was ending up kind of sick from reading all those articles because I'm so empathic. And that last show I did where I did all those articles with the fires and everything, I was sick after that. I have to tell you, I had pains. I had pains before the show, but I had more pains after the show. And these were not normal pains that I have. These were in my stomach. And so, I will occasionally bring some news items, but, you know, if someone else wants to cover those, you know, then go for it. I mean, other people need to be doing blogs and reports and things like that. You know, Robin and I should not be the only ones doing this. Seriously. I mean, what if something happened to one of us? Where would all of you be? So, you know, I know that time is short, but I'm just saying that people need to do their own research, and I'm going to stick with what I know for now, and I'm not going to be learning a bunch of new programs and stuff like that unless it happens to be something that I absolutely need in order to help with the earthquake reporting. Because this is my focus along with the spiritual message, and I will cover comments as I feel led and as I have time to. But I do appreciate your comments and appreciate you guys being here with me, and we're on this journey together. So I'm going to pause and clear out my cookies, and we'll be right back for the earthquake report. Don't go anywhere. Okay, I'm back. So what we have here is all magnitudes for the last 24 hours from USGS, and we have 277 earthquakes worldwide. So it's been quite active. As you can see, they're still coming in, and if we go to 2.5 magnitude and higher, there have been 37 worldwide. So I'm gonna leave Alaska for last because it looks like things are still coming in up there, and I want to make sure to cover all of those. So, well, it looks like we've got some that are about to come off the map. No, not until 6/19. We're okay. So let's start down here in Mexico, off the coast of Mexico. We have a cluster. We've got 6 here. Normally we see 1 or 2, so we can definitely see that the movement is picking up. We've got 4.8, 4.8, 4.9, 4.2, 4.6, and 4.9, and these were all near Puerto Madero, Mexico, within the last 24 hours. The first one was at 3:41 this morning, and the last one was at 1:52 this afternoon. So they were all in the ocean. They're next to this red line. The red lines represent the edges of the tectonic plates. Then, coming on down into Peru, we had a 4.8 that came in at Ojapampa, Peru, at 2:53 this afternoon. Moving on down, here's one off the coast of Chile, a 4.4 near Coquimbo, Chile, at 8:30 this morning. Then coming across, nothing showing up for New Zealand today. Then up here in the Fiji area, there was a 4.5 near Nidoy Island, Fiji at 10:32 this morning, very deep, 519 kilometers deep. And as we've said, and if you listen to some of the other reporters as well, the deeper the earthquake, the more it's going to cause these tectonic plates to move around the world, to shift and move, and so it can actually cause more movement and more earthquakes. Next we have 4.2 near Tual, Indonesia at 6:45 this morning. Then there was a 4.8 near Amahai, Indonesia at 12:09 this morning. It looks like that was on the land, right there on the northern side of that island, Maluku Seram. Now, this one just happened. This was a 5.7. Okay, I was looking at 4 point something. 5.7 near Hinatuan, Philippines at 4:13 this afternoon, 17 kilometers deep. So we can see that was in the ocean. 5.7, that's getting up close to 6. So it's on this red line, but it was in the ocean, so it probably didn't cause any damage. If that had been on land, it could have caused damage. 17 kilometers deep, that's pretty shallow. Then off the northwest coast of Sumatra, we had a 4.6 near Banda Aceh, Indonesia at 11:27 last night, 35 kilometers deep. Now coming on up to Afghanistan, there was a 4.4 near Alagadari Karan wa Munjan, Afghanistan at 7:26 this morning, 120 kilometers deep. Then we had one up in Poland today, a 4.1 near Grabosice, Poland at 8:55 this morning, very shallow, 5 kilometers deep. So there's that. We don't see them up there very often. I'm not saying they don't happen, it's just that we don't see them reported there very often. Then here's one, a 4.0 near Izu Islands, in the Izu Islands, Japan region at 1:08 this morning. Another deep one, 406 kilometers deep. Now we're going to hop over to all magnitudes and look at Hawaii. We've got 7 here today. We've got a 1.9, 1.6, 2.0, 1.9, 2.0, 2.1, and 1.8. And if we go to our Volcano Observatory for Hawaii, we can see that Kilauea is on the yellow advisory. Mauna Loa is listed as green, normal. So, keeping that in mind, so remember Kilauea is right down here. And so we've got 3 right in the crater there. That happened right in the crater. So, it's giving off stuff. If it's on an advisory, it means it's restless and things are happening there. Now let's go on over to the Dominican Republic. And we're showing 15 here today, so we've got an uptick in the numbers. 2.9, 2.7, 1.4, 1.4, 1.4, 2.3, 2.0, 2.5, 1.9, 2.2, 2.3, 2.7, 2.1, 3.1 is the highest, and 2.9. So those are picking up in number. Now, I said we would do Alaska last, so let's come on over to the lower 48. There was a 3.4 near Maynardville, Tennessee at 12:56 this afternoon, 17 kilometers deep. That's kind of high. It's getting on up there. And remember, we saw those over here in Colorado yesterday. There's no more activity going on that we can tell from USGS. Now let's come on into Utah, and we've got 5 right here. This is Farron. Remember all that cluster at Farron? Junction. Where is Junction? I don't even see it on. Oh, it's down here. Junction is down here. 1.0. 1.1 at Farron. 1.2 at Farron. 1.4 at Richfield over here. 1.5 at Farron. So Farron is still active. Still got things going on. So we covered all those. Now let's come on up to south of Salt Lake. This is Bluffdale. Remember, this is still active. We've got 10 here today. This is quite active. They're small. 1.8, 0.8, 2.5, that's the highest so far. 1.1, 0.8, 0.6, 1.0, 1.1, 0.8, and 0.9. None of those were in the negative depth zones, but this is directly south of Salt Lake City. Now moving on up into the Yellowstone region, we've got this whole area is considered part of Yellowstone. We've got this first one, 2.2 near Soda Springs, Idaho. That's the latest one to come in. It looks, yeah, that's the last one to come in. That came in at 12:39 this afternoon. So we've got 5 in the Yellowstone area. So the Old Faithful geysers had a 1.0. Remember, we saw that cluster there yesterday. 0.6 near West Yellowstone, Montana. 1.3 near Polson, Montana. 1.4 near Lincoln, Montana, and then the 2.2 near Soda Springs. So there's those. Then in the Pacific Northwest, we've got a couple up here in Canada. We had an explosion, a 2.1 magnitude earthquake from an explosion near Princeton, Canada. That came in at 2:14 this afternoon at a minus 0.2 kilometers depth. So when you see that, that means they're doing some kind of blasting for quarrying or construction or something like that. Then there was this 1.7 near Sawcheld, Canada, at 3:47 this morning. Then 1.6 near Seguin, Washington, at 11:48 last night. 1.3 near Stanwood, Washington at 11:31 last night. 0.1 near Erlands Point, Kitsap Lake, Washington at 1:07 this afternoon. 0.9 near Burley, Washington at 1:47 this afternoon. See, this is a lot more. This is getting active, more active than we're used to seeing here. Then 1.4 magnitude from an explosion near Graham, Washington at 12:08 this afternoon at a minus 0.9 kilometers depth. And 0.6 near Eatonville, Washington at 8:18 last night. And what is that? Mount Rainier. So it's to the west of Mount Rainier. And then a minus 0.1 near Royal City, Washington at 12:37 this morning. And moving on down, Oregon looks clear. Now we're coming into Northern California. Let's cover this east side first today. We'll change it up a little bit. Here's a little bitty one near Lassen Peak, a 0.6 near Mineral, California at 2:39 this afternoon. Now, if we go to California for our volcano alerts, we've got very high threat potential is Lassen Volcanic Center, Long Valley Caldera, and Mount Shasta. All of those sound familiar, don't they? Well, we see stuff at Lassen all the time. We just saw that one. So, and we see stuff all the time at Long Valley. And then Mount Shasta, we see stuff occasionally up there. High threat potential is the Clear Lake volcano field. And Clear Lake is near those geysers. Medicine Lake, Mono Inyo chain, and the Salton Buttes. And the Salton Buttes are at the southern end. Moderate threat potential, Coso volcanic field, Mammoth Mountain, Mono Lake volcanic field, Soda Lakes, Nevada, Ubehebe craters. Low to very low threat potential, Golden Trout Creek volcanic field. So they've got all those listed. And if you go to the Cascadias, they show all your volcanoes over here on the left. See? Look, I mean, there's so many. Look at all of those. Craters of the Moon, I mean, and then they list them: very high threat, Crater Lake, Glacier Peak, Mount Baker, Mount Hood, Mount Rainier. Well, we just saw one near Mount Rainier today. Mount St. Helens, Newberry, Three Sisters, and so on and so forth. So all of the places that we have been seeing earthquake activity is in these areas. And then here's Yellowstone. And it's a whole thing about Yellowstone with the history and the hazards and monitoring and all that stuff. So I would think people would like to see that. I mean, you would think that. So that's all those links are right there on the left from this Alaska Volcano Observatory website. So Here's Lassen Peak, and so we had a 0.6 to the west of Lassen Peak, which is a very high threat potential. Then down here, where's this? Bucks Lake, 1.3 near Quincy. We know that Quincy's over here. Let me get oriented. Oroville is down here. The dam is right over here. So there's that. Here's a 2.2 near Valley Ranch, California. Then moving on down into near the Reno area. It's picked up today. 1.0 near Truckee. Another 1.0 near Truckee. This was at 0 kilometers depth. The first one was at 0 kilometers depth too. Very shallow. 1.1 near Truckee, 8.1 kilometers depth. 0.8 near Truckee. And Truckee's right here, so these were all around Truckee. And Lake Tahoe looks clear. Reno looks clear. Now coming on out into Nevada was a 0.5 near Silver Springs at 2:20 this morning. Carson City looks clear. Here's a little one near Gardnerville, a 0.5. And uh-oh, what's going on over here near Ely? We've got 2 near Ely, a 2.9 that happened at 2:48 this morning, and a 2.3 that came in at 3:24. And then a 1.5 explosion right down here near Warm Springs at 2:46 this afternoon, 0 kilometers depth. Okay, Fallon's clear. Then we've got some coming down through the Hawthorne area. We've just got a few coming down through there. I'm not going to call all those off. And a few down here in southern Nevada, near where the Nevada test site is, and Area 51. And if you want to know more about all those, you can do your own research. 1.5 near Alamo, and 1.4 near Alamo. Then here's a 0.8 near Bridgeport. Now this is in the Mono Lake area. See, here's Mono Lake, and this is one of those high threat areas. Here's the Long Valley area. That's another high threat area. See, we're seeing things here every day, 0.7 and a 0.5. And you know, some people say, well, you know, at least the little ones just release pressure so a bigger one doesn't happen. Well, I don't know about that. Little ones can lead to big ones. That's my opinion. We've got some clustering down here. What have we got? Okay, let's get this one over here. A 1.1, just on the other side of Pahrump. Okay, here I'm going to call these off. These are in the Coso Junction area. Some of them are Little Lake and some of them are Coso Junction. I'm just going to click them off. Here's a 0 magnitude, 0.8, minus 0.3, 1.2, 1.2, and 1.4. So we're seeing an uptick in the numbers here. Here's a 1.0 near Bodfish, a 1.5 near Bodfish. Here's a 1.5 magnitude quarry blast near Boren. We see them blasting there all the time. And now there's a 1.3 magnitude quarry blast near Mojave. So see, the earthquake makers are back at work today. Maybe they took Monday off, because I don't remember seeing a bunch of blasts yesterday. We're seeing them today. So down here in Southern California, we'll try to get all this on the map. We've got 34 here today. And let's see, the largest ones, they're all under 2.5 magnitude. So they're small. Now the Salton Buttes are down here. Remember, that's a high threat area right down here. And we usually see earthquakes here. Here's a 1.2 near Brawley. Here are the Kauai group, 18 here today. And they're small, ones and under. So, small ones can lead to bigger ones. Now let's come up the coast here. Time to come up the San Andreas fault line. Here's a 2.0 near Baywood Los Osos at 12:17 this morning. .7 near Parkfield. .6 near Parkfield. Here's a 1.8 near Coalinga. 1.4 near San Lucas. Look, San Francisco Bay area is clear. Except for, where is Alum Rock? Alum Rock. Right down here. It's a little bit, I couldn't see it. Here's a Alum Rock, a 0.8. And we had a quarry blast near Loyola. That's hard to say. I'm not seeing it right now. Oh, it's right down here. It's at the bottom. That one happened at 11:56 this morning. And look at the geysers. Oh, here's one off the coast, a 1.8 near Fort Ross. And how many do we have at the geysers today? 40. And here's Clear Lake. I remember this was one of the higher threat areas. So that's a pretty big lake. And so these are pretty near Clear Lake. So I would say this is a high threat zone for things happening. 40. That's a huge number. You know, we might see 20, we might see 15, but 40, that's an incredibly high number today. All here at the geysers. And they're ones and under. So they're just peppered around. See? So you got 40. Right in that cluster, 40. Then moving on up, we've got one out here on the edge of the Juan de Fuca plate. 2.6, they're calling it near Petrolia at 1:25 this morning. I think that's a wrap. Oh, I said we'd do Alaska last. I didn't want to forget it. I thought I'd already done it. So now let's go look at all this activity going on in Alaska. Let's see. We've got on the map here, we've got 11 that are 2.5 magnitude and higher. This first one, the biggest one, is a 5.1 that came in at Builder Island. This is part of that Aleutian Island chain. This one happened at 4:01 this morning, 37 kilometers deep. Then there was a 3.8 near Untitled Island at 12:01 this morning. 2.7 near Akutan, Alaska at 1:57 this afternoon. 3.5 near Kodiak at 5:48 this morning. 2.6 near Kodiak Station at 8:20 last night. And here's a 2.8 near Redoubt Volcano at 2:06 this morning, 149 kilometers deep. Now remember, we saw that sulfur dioxide coming up from this region here. And so this is just 2.5 magnitude and higher. So if we turn on all magnitudes, here's the Redoubt one. And so there have been some other smaller ones here. But then if we turn on for the last 7 days, all magnitudes, that's pretty active. Okay, so, but like I said, the release can come before the earthquake. And the release doesn't have to be in the same place as where the earthquake happens. Look at that from the last 7 days. It doesn't look like much when we just do it day to day, but when you have 50 or 80 or whatever, you know, that's like over, it's a whole lot. It's like close to 500 right there. That's over 500. It's 512 in the last 7 days in Alaska. Now I know they average 50 to 100 a day, but I'm just saying, I think it's a lot. So let's go back over here. So we saw that one, and then a 3.2 just came in near Sutton Alpine at 4:34 this afternoon, 23 kilometers deep. Then up here was a 3.4 near Kobuk at 7:46 this morning, and a 2.9 near Kobuk at 11:06 last night. And these are shallow. The larger one was only 1.9 kilometers deep. Then up right on the northern edge, we've got a 2.8 near Koktovik at 0 kilometers depth. That one happened at 6:19 last night, and a 2.7 near Koktovik at 2:16 this afternoon. Now let's go to all magnitudes. see if some other things stand out. We've got some more spread around on this east side. Here's one in the ocean, a 2.6 near Kodiak Station. Okay, we showed that. Now see, we've got all these along the southern edge where we saw that release of sulfur dioxide. And then here's Anchorage, this cluster. There's not that many here today, only 20 when you get close in like that. But in this view, there's 41. And see, they're peppered around and throughout these mountains and throughout the middle of the state. And here's a 2.0 near Kobuk. And then, look, there were two. Okay, all magnitudes, we've got 3. Look how they're lined up in a straight line there. 2.8, 2.0, and 2.7. Isn't that something? Then over here at Kobuk, look, they're practically in a straight line too. 2.9, 3.4, and 2.0. That 2.0 was at 0 kilometers depth. So things are shaking and quaking. I mean, things are happening, and the earth is changing in ways that we're not prepared for, and we're seriously in no man's land with all the weird things that are happening with the weather and with the sea ice and everything. We're really in areas that we're not used to seeing, and so you can't go on how things used to be, or you know what was normal in the past. We're in not normal territory, and you know all this stuff is this is the new normal, is all the weirding and the jet stream doing these weird loops and all this stuff, and you know, strange weather and cold where it's not supposed to be cold or not normally cold, and hot where it's not normally hot, and then you've got the weather manipulation on top of all of it. So we don't even know what it would be like without that. So, you know, Satan just can't leave things alone. And people who are in charge are being controlled by the dark satanic mind, and they think that they know better than God, and so they're gonna take charge. But I think time, you know, they're just screwing it up more and more and more, and it's just getting worse every day from what I can see. So I love you guys. If you haven't asked for forgiveness for your sins with God and Jesus, now would be a good time. And ask for Jesus to come into your heart and to guide you into what you need to do in order to not be caught here in this satanic realm as this reality is falling apart, and to give you discernment from the Holy Spirit so that you can discern the good from the from the evil, the light from the dark, and then decide which side you're going to align with, and what are you willing to do once you take that side, because the lines are being drawn, they have been drawn, and everybody's going to have to make a choice of what side they're going to be on. And if you don't make a choice, you're going to go down by default, I'm afraid. So, I love you guys. I'm praying for all of you. So, until next time, God bless, go in peace, and goodbye.